you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Susanna and I'm so glad to have you guys here for this video today. Today I'm going to do kind of like a little get ready with me slash I'm going to be teaching you guys if you are new to makeup, maybe you're a little bit younger and you're just getting started, or maybe you are a little bit older and just have never been that into makeup but now want to learn, especially now that we have more time in quarantine, or maybe you're already pretty decent at makeup but you just want to improve your skills just a little bit. I'm going to be showing you guys just a pretty simple look, kind of almost my everyday one that I wear whenever I'm teaching or whatever I'm doing. It's quick, easy, and nothing too complicated. Just kind of the basics and kind of almost not necessarily the bare minimum. It's a little bit more than the bare minimum, but this look may be okay for younger girls as well. So if you are starting out, then this could be perfect for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started, but make sure if you enjoy this video that you subscribe and hit that thumbs up. That would mean the world to me. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump on in. So honestly, I just got out of the shower and kind of partially blow dried it, so it's looking pretty fluffy right now. So just ignore that. Okay guys, but the first step in makeup that you always want to start out with is a primer. I'm using the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. So this also has a moisturizer in it, which is super nice because it's going to moisturize your skin. It's going to really prep you for makeup and it's going to be keeping you looking young for longer. And we all want that because moisturizing your skin is very important, guys. So all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take a little bit on my fingers. And I'm just gonna apply it like I would a lotion on my skin. So why is a primer important? You may be wondering. The primary purpose of a primer is to help your makeup to last on your skin longer. So that is why I like to use it. So I'm a teacher and so I have long days and I am at the school from 7:30 in the morning till like 4 in the afternoon. So I need something that's gonna keep my makeup on my face for as long as possible. So that is the primary purpose. Also, primer can really help to hide your pores if that is an issue for you. So that is very helpful as well. So the next step is a concealer. For the younger girls, you may not need to do this, but I definitely have some nice, pretty little dark circles under my eyes that I like to hide, especially when I wake up really early. They are showing like crazy. So when you are doing a concealer underneath your eyes, it is important to go just a little bit lighter than you usually would. This is actually quite a bit lighter than it needs to be. You need to get a slightly darker one. Again, you still want it to be lighter than your skin because you want your eyes to look bright. I am just putting a little bit underneath my eye area. This is the Instant Age Rewind from Maybelline. This is a drugstore product, so it's not very expensive, but it does the trick. It works so nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and blend this in with a beauty blender. So this is a beauty blender. If you are not sure what that is, it's basically just a sponge. Something important with the beauty blender is to always make sure that you wet it before you use it. That is really going to help you smooth the product out. I actually like to kind of take it up to my eyelids a little bit. I do not always use an eye primer. For me, I'm on a teacher budget, and honestly, if you use a concealer on your eyelid, that can work just as well. So if you can find something that works just as well, you might as well just use that if it's going to save some costs. Sometimes I will use a primer if I'm going on like a special night out or something, but for right now, honestly, I'm just going to bring this up to my eye and use that as my primer. The reason behind an eye primer is just to keep the product there for longer. It's to keep it from creasing. Honestly, I think that as long as you use good eye makeup and you use some concealer on your eyelid, that does the trick as well. So I'm going to continue. You really want to make sure that you blend this in nicely. It's okay if it looks a little bit light because we are going to be putting some foundation over it and it will kind of even things out a little bit while still giving you the appearance of a brighter under eye, which is always good. So now that that is all finished, sometimes I will put a little bit of concealer on my chin as well as right here on my forehead. That kind of helps with the contouring process, but since this is more of a basic tutorial for beginners, I'm just gonna do the under eye area. So the next thing that I am going to do is put on my foundation. So this foundation is also drugstore, which it's good for those of us on a budget like me. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-hour fresh wear. I've been thinking about doing a video where I legitimately wear this foundation for 24 hours and see how it holds up. I'm really curious. This is one of my favorite foundations. I think it is so good, but I kind of doubt that it's going to last on my face for 24 hours. But if you would like to see that video, please comment below and maybe I will put something like that together. Anyway, so what I want to do with my foundation is I am also going to use my beauty blender to apply this. You can also apply it with a brush or even your fingers. Your fingers can be really good if you're a beginner and you don't have the tools that you need, and maybe you're trying to slowly buy those things that you need so that you are not spending money on so much makeup at one time. So if you need to use your fingers, that's fine too. Honestly, the warmth from your fingers can help the makeup smooth into your skin even better. So that is good. But I would recommend a beauty blender. That is my personal favorite if that's an option for you right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my foundation. I'm gonna squirt just about that much. You don't want to overdo it with foundation. The whole goal of makeup is to enhance you naturally, or at least that's how I like to see it. And of course it's totally fun to do crazy looks sometimes. And I mean, you do whatever you want. But personally, for an everyday basis, I think it's important that you just use makeup to enhance your already natural beauty. So I try to make mine look a little bit more natural. Basically what I did was I took a little bit of it on my finger and I dotted it on. You could pick it up with the sponge, but honestly I think that wastes product because some could soak into the sponge before it gets onto your face. So I like to pick it up with my finger and put little dots on my face and then proceed to blending it in. Okay, so we have the foundation on. Now what you want to do is you want to set the foundation. Setting the foundation, usually you put some kind of translucent powder over your foundation, over your skin. What that does is it really locks it in. And so that helps it not to budge throughout the day. It helps it not to get as greasy and gross. I especially like to put a decent amount underneath my eyes. Thankfully, the concealer is not too bad with creasing, but at the same time, if you're gonna be wearing it all day, you really want to set your under eye so that it does not crease. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is the IT Bye Bye Pores translucent powder, and I am going to go ahead and take some with my beauty blender. I actually, before I do this, I like to go underneath my eyes and pat it just a little bit more so that if any creasing has already occurred, it kind of helps that out before I totally set it with the translucent powder. So I'm gonna take a little bit and I am just going to set that under eye so that that concealer does not budge. If you are looking for a cheaper translucent product, honestly, there's a Wet n Wild translucent powder that is so good. I use that more than I use this. I think I actually like it more than I like this. And it's, oh gosh, I think it's like $5. So if you're looking for something less expensive, that is totally doable. So Wet n Wild. Honestly, they have, some are hit and miss, but a lot of those products are really good. Let me know if you want me to do a full face of Wet n Wild makeup soon, because they do have some good products. So now that I've kind of done my under eye, I'm going to take that same powder and I'm going to take a brush, just kind of a big old fluffy brush like this. This is my Sigma F30, but just any big fluffy brush will work. And I am just going to go ahead and set my entire face so that the foundation is not going to budge throughout the day, so that I will not get super greasy and gross. It's definitely important to set it. It just helps it last so much longer. This in combination with the primer and then a good setting spray, like you'll be good all day. So we have set the face. Now this is kind of optional depending on, right now I'm a little bit more, well, a lot more tan on my body than I am on my face because I've been using like a rub-on tanner. And so I am definitely going to be needing some bronzer. So I'm going to take, this is Butter Bronzer. It's by Physicians Formula. This is also a drugstore bronzer and it is incredible. So many beauty gurus out there use this. It's not very expensive and it also smells like a beach. It smells amazing. And so, Butter Bronzer. I have a different fluffy brush for my bronzer than I do my translucent powder because I don't really want to mix those. You can always use the same, just brush it off if you need to do that. So I'm just gonna take a little bit, I like to blow it off because you don't wanna go too crazy with your bronzer. You kinda wanna go light, you wanna build it up. You also wanna make sure you get down into your neck because the last thing that you want is a line. We've all seen those people out there and their makeup looks beautiful, but you can totally tell they're wearing makeup because they have that very defined line right there. So I like to work it down into my neck so that it looks more natural and beautiful. So you definitely want to go in light-handed and just build it up as you go. I like to kind of do a little 3 motion right here on my face. Those are the main areas that you want to put the bronzer. You kind of want to avoid this area of your face, the T-zone. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I kind of just brush it on and just kind of build it up until you think that it looks good. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do just a little baby contouring. I'm not gonna go too crazy, just some simple basic contouring. I have this Anastasia contour powder kit and it's from light to medium. This is not drugstore, it is a little bit more on the pricey side, but there are definitely some good drugstore contour kits. So I'm going to take this first shade right here and I have a Sigma F35 and it's more of a tapered end. I'm going to take this first shade and I just kind of like to brighten up this under eye area just a little bit more. So I'm gonna put that right there and kind of work it down. Just kind of want to go under the eye, kind of close to the nose. Okay, so the only other thing I'm going to do, because especially on an everyday look, I don't want to do this full grand deal of contouring. I'm just going to do a little bit to define my cheekbones and that's it. So I am taking just any kind of brush that looks like this will work perfectly. I like this middle shade. It's not too crazy dark. It looks a little bit more natural. So I'm gonna take a little bit of that, blow off the excess, and we're just doing just a little bit, just a hint. Doing kind of a circular and then downward motion. That's at least how I like to do mine. I know that there are plenty of different ways to do it, but this is just how I find it is best on me. So now we have more defined cheekbones. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do some blush. This is Cheek Parade. And we have, as you can see, it has been well loved. Honestly, it's probably close to its expiration and probably need to throw it out soon, but I do like this. So it's also more of a luxury product, but there are plenty good blush products out there at the drugstore for less expensive as well. So let's see, I think I'm gonna take this lightest color right here, most natural looking color. I'm gonna take my blush right here, and I'm just going to really put it on the apples of my cheeks, just a little bit. Now I wanna do just a little bit of baby highlighting. And when I say baby highlighting, I mean just a little highlight just to give yourself a little glow, but we're not gonna go too crazy. This is just the basic. I have a Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighting palette. This is definitely a drugstore product and it's not very expensive, but it's also awesome. It's only $10 and it has 4 different highlighters. So you basically get 4 products for $10. So I think I'm gonna take this lighter pink color. I'm going to take, again, more of a tapered brush, and I'm going to go into my highlighter and I'm just going to put it right about there. So it's kind of like almost slightly above where you did your blush, and you kind of just do a little bit. You don't want to go too crazy because you don't want to seem like you have just a line of highlighter, because that's not going to look cute. Just a nice little summer glow. You can even put some of the excess just down the bridge of your nose. A little right there. good to go. So now we are going to move on to the eyebrows. Eyebrows are something that I really wish I had known how to do in high school. I honestly don't think I ever did my eyebrows in high school, and I'm totally, not that you need to do it when you're in high school because you're still young, but like I always used to do lots of eye makeup because I was getting super into makeup, but then I would never do my brows, and so it just didn't look right. So I personally love doing my brows. It makes the biggest difference, especially on me because my hair is very dark and my eyebrows are very light. The products that I am going to use is, I love this little, it's actually from Ulta, it's just an Ulta brand, it has a spoolie and then an angled brow brush. And then I have this Ulta Beauty brow pomade in dark brown. So what I like to do my brows is, first I like taking the spoolie and I do like kind of combing them just to make them a little bit nice and neater. Do really desperately need to pluck my eyebrows. I'll probably do that after this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and just take a little bit of the product. Again, you don't want to go too crazy. The goal is not to make your eyebrows look like they have been drawn on. You want to make them look naturally beautiful and lush and pretty. So we don't want to go too crazy because we don't want our eyebrows to look like they have been drawn on. We want to look like we woke up like this. I'm gonna take just a little bit of that, and then I'm actually going to use the lid to kind of wipe off some of the excess. That's at least what I like to do. As far as the brows go, you just kind of want to go on the outside first and create the shape that you want. Definitely try and follow your natural shape of your brow for the most part. You might want to make this part angled, but other than that, you don't really want to go too crazy and make them look much bigger than they actually are. You really just want to follow the natural shape of your brow and just enhance it. I love this brush. I feel like it makes the brows look nice and natural. So I'm honestly only going to do like one layer of this. I think this looks nice and natural. It doesn't look drawn on, but you can definitely see a big difference. It really just helps to frame my face overall. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that other step for the other brow. Got the brows on, and now we can move on to our eyes. This is usually the time where you would throw on a little eye primer. If you have some and like to utilize that, go ahead and do that. I, again, earlier on just put a little concealer on my eyelids. If I were honestly going to be going out and doing something for a full day, then I'd probably put a little bit more concealer on my eyelids, but honestly, I'm just gonna be at home tonight, so I'm probably not gonna do that because I don't want to waste the product. I chose this palette because they do have quite a few neutrals, and so if you are a beginner, I would recommend starting out with some neutrals, really getting comfortable with those, and then you can kind of expand your horizons and play with more color if that's something that you're interested in. I would definitely recommend starting with more neutral colors, or you can just jump on in, whatever you want to do. Honestly, you can never go wrong with neutrals. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brush. It's by Eco Tools. It's just kind of a flatter, bigger, fluffier brush. And I'm going to take this color right here. It does have a little bit of shimmer in it, so I don't want to go too crazy with it, but I'm going to take just a little bit, almost blow off some of the excess, and put it right underneath the brow to kind of give myself a nice little highlight. It also can make that little arch right there seem a bit higher, so I'm just gonna go in right there. Again, you don't want to go too crazy because you don't want that to be like real shiny, because that's not gonna be cute. Next step, if you're a beginner, I would honestly recommend using your finger as far as your lid goes. I honestly think it's a little bit easier to use your finger, and the warmth from your finger almost helps to melt the products into your skin. I also love doing like a almost nudish pinky color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger, just get a little bit of the product on, and then I'm going to blow off the excess. That prevents lots of fallout from getting all over your face. If you think you're gonna have issues with that, I would recommend doing your eyes and then going over and doing your face. Now all we're going to do is put the shadow on our lid. All right, just a nice little shimmer. That's all I'm gonna do for the lid. Pretty simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a big old fluffy brush. So this is a Morphe brush. It doesn't have a number or anything, but it is big and fluffy. Honestly, any brushes that look like this could work. I'm going to take this bottom color right here. It's almost the color of my skin. It's very neutral, but we're gonna kind of build a base. So I'm gonna take my brush, get a little bit on that brush, blow off that fallout. We don't want it all over our face. And with a light hand, you don't want to go in too heavy. You don't want to press too hard because that is going to make it look way too intense. It is so much better to build the product, add layers rather than to just go in with tons of product, slap it on your face with an intense pressure, because that's just not going to look as natural and beautiful. Even if you were going for more of a smoky look, you would want to build those smoky colors. So again, we're going in with a very light hand, kind of bringing it in to the inner corner. The outer corner, we're just gonna do kind of little circles. You don't wanna bring the product up too high. We definitely don't wanna bring it up to the brow, but we are just lightly working with this product to blend. I'm gonna go ahead and repeat the step for the other eye. A lot of times what I like to do after that, because you really do not want to leave a harsh line, which this isn't too harsh, but you really want to make it look like it's just fading, like it's just naturally like that. You don't want to see any lines because it's just not going to look as good. So I'm taking a different big fluffy brush, make sure there isn't any powder on that brush. And what I like to do is just take it and kind of fluff that out. Even if you bring it up a little bit further, that's okay, because you're not adding any extra product, but you're just really kind of making sure that you smooth out that line so that it just looks natural and flawless. So we're going to add one more shade on our eyes for this more of a natural look. I'm going to take a smaller tapered blending brush. This is my Sigma E45. I want to do this color right here. It is not too dark, so I'm going to take just a little bit of that, blow it off. So we're going to make sure to really stay kind of in this crease. And we're going to build it up in the outer corner just a little bit more and then slightly bring it in, if that makes sense. The reason I want this brush to be a little bit more tapered and not as fluffy is because since this is a darker color, it helps really keep that color where I put it. Whereas the fluffy brush kind of spreads it a little bit more, so it is more likely to get closer to my brow bone, which is okay if it's a pretty light color, but since this is darker, we don't want it to be close to our brow bone. So that is why I'm using more of a tapered, smaller brush. So I have that done. I'm going to once again take my clean, big, fluffy brush and just kind of do these motions to blend it out right there to make sure there isn't any harsh lines. Now what I want to do is I want to take this tapered brush once again, and I'm going to go into that slightly darker brown, the same one that I just used. Now I want to go right about here. Kind of bring it down my lower lash line just a little bit, barely bringing it down. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that same step on the other side. So now I want to line my eyes. This, I'm going to be honest, this is gonna take some practice. I've been lining my eyes for a long time, so I kind of have it down. But this is the Stila Stay All Day Waterproof Eyeliner. I really like this one. Also, something that's helpful is it has a much smaller tip. So especially if you're a beginner, that could be very helpful for you. I would recommend doing more of a felt tip than a pencil. Pencils are just so hard to work with unless you have a really nice one, at least in my opinion. I think felt tips just go on so much easier. You don't have to work with it as much. So if you're a beginner, I would recommend a felt tip. So I'm going to do my best to stay in camera and put on the eyeliner. I'm going to curl my lashes first. If you've never used an eyelash curler, all you do is you put your eyelashes right there and you are going to squeeze them together Try not to sneeze or blink or anything like that. I definitely have a friend in high school who was curling her lashes one time and she sneezed and then she yanked out all of her eyelashes and had to wear false lashes to school for the longest time. So I remember being kind of funny and also kind of sad. So as far as mascara goes, this is my all-time favorite. If you've watched any of my previous videos, I rave about this mascara. It is the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara. I love the applicator. It's just very thin, so especially if you do not have the longest eyelashes in the world, it is really going to get up underneath those lashes and help extend them. Okay, so now we have some mascara on. Perfect for every day. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to apply a little bit of lipstick. This is Sugar Plum from, I think it's L'Oreal. Let's see, yeah, L'Oreal. I've had this one for quite a while. I really like this shade. It's a pretty light pinky, kind of almost a bit of a rose, but it's not too intense. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of that on. And then I'm going to top it off with, this is LA Colors High Shine. I really like this. It's very inexpensive. This is also drugstore, does not cost a lot of money, and it smells really nice. It smells like vanilla. So I'm gonna top it off, just give myself a little bit of shine. Okay, so that is, oh wait, we cannot forget. You have to set your makeup to help it last all day. I actually usually like to do this before I put on mascara because sometimes it kind of like makes you blink a little bit when you spray your face and then you can get some mascara underneath your eyes and that's a pain in the butt. If you do that, you can just wait until it's dry and then wipe it off with a Q-tip. So I usually like to do this right before I put on my mascara, which I forgot at this point. So I'm gonna go ahead and attempt doing it now. If I mess up, I'll just get a Q-tip. So let's go ahead and try it. But you just want to hold it a pretty good distance away from your face, but we're just going to do downward spraying motions. Okay, you guys, so this is the final look. I think it is really natural and pretty. I think it's great for beginners. And so this is honestly one of my favorite makeup looks. I just think it looks so beautiful. If you like this video, please hit subscribe and give me that thumbs up. That would mean the world to me. I upload new videos every Tuesday and Friday, so stay tuned for those. Bye, guys.